In the medieval imagination, the convent was a sanctuary of purity, a fortress of faith where women devoted their lives to God. But behind cloistered walls, the silence often hid forbidden desires, secret punishments, and rituals of shame. Tonight, on MysticLegacyVault, we uncover the untold truth, the dark secrets of medieval convents. Medieval writers painted the convent as a heaven on earth. Caesarius of Arles, writing in the 6th century, called nuns gems of the church, guardians of virtue, locked away from the wolves of the world. But reality was far more complicated. Convent rules demanded silence, fasting, modesty, and prayer before dawn. Voices hushed, movements confined, meals sparse. This was the image of perfection. And yet, history tells us not all who entered the veil remained obedient. By the late 13th century, scandals forced the church to act. In 1298, Pope Boniface VIII issued the decree Periculoso. Its message was clear: nuns must remain perpetually cloistered, cut off from the world, protected from occasions for lasciviousness. It was not simply about devotion, it was about control of the body, of space, of thought. But behind locked doors, desire still found a way in. One of the earliest shocking stories comes from 12th century Yorkshire. At Watton Priory, a young nun was discovered to be pregnant after a secret affair with a lay brother. Aelred of Rievaulx described her as Virgin of Christ who soon returned an adulteress. The convent erupted in punishment, escape, and eventual forgiveness. To some, it was a miracle of repentance. To others, it was proof of how fragile the line was between sanctity and human desire. And then, Littlemore Priory, England, 1517. Investigators uncovered chaos. The prioress Catherine Wells had borne a child with the chaplain. Nuns rebelled, were imprisoned in stocks, and even set fires to escape. One nun declared openly, "I am ashamed to be here under the evil rule of my lady." These were not whispers. They were official court records, evidence of rebellion behind the veil. But scandals were not the only shadows. There were punishments, hidden, silent, and terrifying. A woman disappears from a convent in the night. The legal rolls say only, "taken by persons unknown." At Clementhorpe in 1304, a nun named Cecilia was removed along with goods. 2 years later, Elizabeth de Hopton vanished from Kirklees convent. The records suggest not escape, but abduction. Was this outside violence or internal punishment? By the 19th century, these fears crystallized in legend. In 1836, Maria Monk published Awful Disclosures, claiming Canadian convents held secret underground dungeons. Nuns, she wrote, were tortured, silenced, erased. Her book was debunked, but its popularity revealed something enduring: a suspicion that convent walls hid more than prayer. She kneels. The iron blade scrapes across her scalp. Her hair falls to the stone floor. This was not only a haircut, it was a sentence. In medieval Europe, hair was honor. Frankish kings were crowned with long locks as symbols of legitimacy. To shear hair was to strip away power. Within convent walls, hair-shearing had two faces. In sacred rites, it meant dedication, renouncing vanity, wearing the double crown of devotion to Christ. But in punishment, it meant disgrace. Women accused of sexual sin or rebellion were shorn to humiliate them, marked as fallen in the eyes of God and community. The same blade could sanctify or destroy. Life behind convent walls was not only about prayer, it was about discipline. Daily rhythms of psalms, copying manuscripts, baking bread continued faithfully. Yet in shadows, some nuns wrote secret letters, smuggled messages through iron grills, or rebelled against their prioresses. Control invites resistance, and resistance, though silenced, left faint traces. Scandals in court records, fragments in visitation transcripts, and the whispers of chroniclers. Historians today warn us not every convent had dungeons. Many were ordinary houses of prayer, but still, the myth persists. The idea that behind cloistered doors, women were imprisoned, erased, or punished in secret. Because myths reveal fears. The fear of women's bodies, the fear of disobedience, the fear of silence that hides truth. What do these stories tell us? That the convent was never only sanctuary. It was also a battleground between obedience and defiance, purity and desire, silence and rebellion. The veil, the stocks, the shears, each was a tool of control, and yet each also carried the potential for resistance. In the end, the greatest secret of medieval convents may not be their scandals, but the voices we were never allowed to hear. As the papal decree Periculoso warned, nuns were to remain perpetually cloistered, hearts and bodies safeguarded in chastity. But when walls grow too high, even devotion can become a cage. This has been MysticLegacyVault. If you believe history's shadows hold truth still untold, subscribe, share, and join us as we uncover more hidden legacies of the past.